For fun, we'd just walk over to our girlfriend's house and sit on the porch and gab. At that time, you didn't play with toys. You just sat and talked and enjoyed each other's company. That's what we did. And the fact that I had two sisters, we had company at home among the two sisters, the three of us. Well, one was older, got to do things that I didn't get to do, and the other was younger and got away with more things, so I was in between, and that wasn't a very good spot to be in. I walked to school every day, just walked the block and picked up a girlfriend and many friends and walked to school together and then walked back home for lunch. In the afternoons, when it was warm in the summer, we'd walk down to the next corner, and that's where we would get our ice cream cone, and they were only a nickel. We would sit in the booth and enjoy our ice cream and then sit there and talk a while and then go back home. 1st of October, my dad would say, well, we've got to go to Pittsburgh and get our grapes because we're going to be making our wine. And Mother would say, oh, there comes the fruit flies. But Pap didn't mind. My husband would drive 2 or 3 of those men to get their grapes in Pittsburgh, and they would make their barrel of wine only for their family, for themselves. They never sold it. That wasn't allowed, and he didn't intend to share it. It was in one room in our basement. It was called the wine cellar, and my father had put a cement level in that so he could put his barrel up there, and the neighbor that shared, not in our neighborhood, but his friends would come over, and while he was getting his wine pressed, then when they were done at our house pressing that wine, then they'd go to the next Italian family, down a ways, and they would press his barrel of wine. So it was a real friendly atmosphere. My father took care of all the finances at the house. He paid all the utility bills. He'd walk down street, which is a good mile, and pay them as they come in, and when they were due, cash. And then you had half of your utility bill is your receipt. And that's how the bills were paid. The electric, the phone, the water bill, everything. The grocery bill was paid in the same manner. When payday would come, my father would go over to Calizzi's and pay the bill. And I don't know if it was for 2 weeks or 1 week. I think probably 1 week. I'm not sure. And it would pay by cash, no check or anything. And I'm not sure he even got a receipt. Everybody trusted us. Trusted everybody. Everybody, I guess, paid their bills at that point in time like that, in that manner. I met Albert at a basketball game. We played Leechburg at Vandergrift. It was a Vandergrift game. And after every Friday night basketball games, there was a dance afterwards. And so we just would sit in the bleachers. It was just in a gym of the school. And he had come over and asked me to dance, and I says, no, thank you, I'm tired. So then I met up with my girlfriend who was there, and she says, what are you doing? I said, just sitting here. I said, do you know that fellow across the way? She says, yes, that's Albert Kasanicky. She says, why are you asking? And I said, well, he come up and asked me to dance. She says, did you dance with him? And I said, no. She says, you go right over there and tell him if you will dance. I says, no, I won't. But she knew him real well. So that was the 1 week of basketball. The second week, he was back again, and I did dance with him because my girlfriend said that she knew him real well, and I should dance with him because he had some friends that she knew, and I guess she wanted to get in touch with them. I remember my first date, and the hardest part of that was introducing him to my parents. But that was fine because my Aunt Mary was there when he was up there, and that made it easier. And I says, come on in, meet my parents. So my Aunt Mary would say she was real aggressive compared to my mom and dad. They were more serious because I was the one who was going to go out with Albert. But they liked him from day one. They, approved. That made it easy. My one neighbor approached my father. The fact that Al was not Italian and didn't go to our church. And my father answered John right away. He said, well, John, it's okay that Al doesn't speak Italian and that Al doesn't go to our church because I'm not going to marry him. Angelica is. Oh, I knew immediately that Albert was the kind of person I would want to marry and be with the rest of my life. Just the way he treated me, and he was kind, and just the way I wanted to be treated. He was different than some of the boys that I had spent time with, and I just knew he was the one. And I liked his family. He immediately took me to meet his parents, and I thought his mom and dad were real nice people, and that was very important. I was married when I was 19, and Al was 21, but I never had children until 5 years later. I didn't have children because Al was in Korea, and I continued to live with his parents, and that was fine for me. I didn't object to that at all. A lot of brides would not do that, but I did. Mrs. Kasanicky was the best cook, and Mr. Kasanicky couldn't have been a nicer father-in-law. So I enjoyed my years there. And then when Al went to the service, I wanted to work in Leechburg, and it's a small town. So I went in town, and there was a clothing store. It was really like a department store. We sold lingerie, shoes, clothing, and I applied for a job, and they hired me there. And that was great because I could still continue to live with his parents. And so I worked there probably 25 years. I went there in 52 and left in 75 to go to another job because both Kathy and Marcy overlapped in college, so I wanted a better job, a better paying job. So I went to Shenley, it was a distillery. When I went in, we went in, several girls and I went in, and we wanted to work on the line, which was the ladies' jobs. And our supervisor said, no, we need to train you on the men's job. We thought, when we heard men's job, we thought, oh, that would be too hard, too difficult, and, strenuous for us. And they said, no, you can try them out, but you have to, we have to put you on the job so you can learn the jobs and you can refuse later. So we got on the men's jobs, and that was a piece of cake because you merely sat all day for 8 hours. The cases come down on a chute, and our job was to open the 4 panels and to put that case down another chute. And we sat there for 8 hours doing that. And we got paid $9 an hour. And that was good. And back in 75. That was a good paying job, $9 an hour. That was such a fun job. We had 8 hours together, and we would rotate jobs every hour. We weren't allowed to stay on any. We'd go from line to line, but doing the same job. Open those cartons, pushing them down a chute, and we had so much fun doing it. They forced us to try the men's job because at that point in time there were equal rights, and we had to have the opportunity to try all the jobs in the plant. So we did, and we were glad that we got to try the jobs because that was an easy job to sit there and get paid that much an hour. His family matters, how we were treated, and we agreed in almost everything we had planned to do, even living with his parents for 7 years, was great. He wasn't ready to move, but I no, he was ready to move, but I was not ready to move because we built our own home across the street from where his parents lived, and he was in agreement with almost anything from day one. Be loyal to one another and do your share, and you can't help but have a good relationship and a good life, a happy marriage with one that you both agree. And it should be that way. Agree with your husband, and the husband should agree with his wife. Have different opinions, you know, but still honor one another and respect one another. Oh my entire life. Albert was everything at home. The best husband, the best father, and the best grandfather. He became to be a good cook and a good helper. And he was so happy to do it because the girls were home with their families, and that was the best time of his life. And I'm glad we had a lot of those happy days, and we'll just treasure those memories. Because I know the dear Lord listens, you know. If you're happy, you tell him about the good days, and if you're sad or hurt, you tell the dear Lord about that. And I just need counseling, and that's what I rely on, and that makes my day. Well, good health, that's all. It's so important, you know, to have good health. You don't have to have wealth. I think good health. If you have health, then you can work and, you know, have wealth, but you have to go out and do it. Another part of my life that I really enjoy having the two sisters, arguing with them and making up, but there is never a day goes by that we do not talk, and that's so important. I'm fortunate to have three sisters always supporting me and supporting my family, my entire family. We're so close, we're obnoxious. What I want to pass on to my grandchildren is to be faithful. Remember that, be good to one another and to others. Do not just think of yourself, because there's many people that need help, and I think that's important. Lend out a hand. Well, I had a great life, and I want to remember all the better things and put away the sad, you know, there were sad moments, but we have to forget about that. And I just want to treasure all my happy memories, and I will. And I have many of them. And I thank the dear Lord every day for all my blessings, for they are many.